or Dragons, whichever one's second pick, potentially bans that away just to try and control a little bit more of that mid lane. But you also have to look at some of the others. You know, typically Tiamat is at the tip of my tongue when it comes down to let's talk about mid lane, but we haven't seen much of that from her. You know, like Soul is something that has been big. If I go back specifically to what they were doing in the Phase 3 playoffs, I think that's going to open up a little bit more of that conversation. But it really was like, let's focus up and try to get that Zeus. He was maybe the most highest performer. I know they had a couple of weird games where they even were willing to pull in, like they played Zhang Kui at one point, and he looked good when they do play it. And so it's just the question of whether or not the Dragons are playing some of that. Well, I guess the Dragon special. Nobody else is really doing some of the stuff that they do. And so if they can pull that out, I'm sure they'll be fine.
I think it's that same regard for Sleekness, is there's things that they're doing that nobody really else is. The ESET support, they're one of the only teams out there doing it. I've heard, you know, some of the pro players, I mean, okay, I'm just going to say one directly. I've heard Genetics talking very highly about the potential of ESET support, but nobody else really outside of Quig is really playing this god. I don't know why we switched cameras there, by the way. Mike Cat was supposed to be the only thing there, but before we go a little bit further here, first bans coming out, though. Camazotz, Ganesh, and Kleena actually going to be banned away by Sleekness. And then we see the immediate respect out of the Jade Dragons. Olarun banned away from Dude Man Bro. And Quig gets a target ban in that ESET.
Yeah, that's the one that's not necessarily wild. We saw it worked out pretty well for them overall. And in comparison, the Horus did not give them the amount of control in that lane that they had when they had the ESET. And it's just, you know, when you think about the factors of it, ESET brings a lot of damage and good CC very quickly to the equation versus Horus, who has the single target CC. Early on, it takes a little while to get rolling. Yeah, you're effective, but it's not necessarily the end-all be-all for it. The thing I'm most interested in, because we talked a lot about like supports, especially because Quig plays such a weird, wide god pool, but also specifically what PBM is able to bring. I also think the jungle matchup here is important. This Erlang Shin was very kind to Sleekness the other day, so I expect this to do really well. But Sam is the one that I want to hone in on, because there's a lot of gods that I think are a little more viable now. But with that Kleena, especially with Camazotz getting banned, it is going to limit some of the more quote-unquote viable junglers right now. But he wasn't really playing any of them anyway.
You know, Gore, one of the questions that always comes up, you know, when you have two teams that really love one god specifically in a role, I'm going to kind of pick this Zeus out here, and you know, you kind of picked on the Erlang Shen. When you're the two teams that really love playing this god, I got to imagine you've got to have some kind of counter strat in your backpack to where when somebody else picks it, well, now you already know what to do to go up against it. It's Erlang Shen for Sleekness, Zeus, and Yamoja out here for the Dragons. But, yeah, I mean, if you're the Dragons here and you're picking up Zeus, Sleekness now, I've got to imagine they have something to try and fight up against this.
Yeah, you got to hope you have a good counter for it. We mentioned it, and we've talked about it. Like, the best thing is that since he's really only building the book build, is that you've got a timer at the beginning of the game where he's still just kind of Zeus. Like, he does get movement speed at a very copious amount at base level. What is it, 20%? Yeah, that you pick up at level 1 on that shield. So you can be moving pretty quickly and get out of a lot of things that you shouldn't otherwise. But he's still Zeus, right? It's still someone you can kill. His damage is a little more manageable early on because the detonate's not going to do as much, Chain Lightning's not going to do as much, but you have a timer before he starts just living through everything. The downside is you've got all of that going for you, and now there's a Yamoja on the team. So that timer isn't on that Book of the Dead anymore. It's when does Mike rotate over to this lane to keep his mid laner alive?
Well, not just the Yamoja's got an Achilles to kind of back him up here when you start getting to those mid and late game fights, and now an Izanami and Nike on the opposite side here for Sleekness. So still not really changing up a whole lot in their pick strategies. This is gods that we've been seeing in the meta. These are gods that we've been seeing this team play specifically throughout the weekend and throughout their time during the SCC. And as the second round of bans come through, it looks like it's some targets over towards the jungle role specifically. Serket and Fenrir taken away, and also the Morrigan. Even despite some of the Morrigan nerfs that we've seen in the past, it seems like she's still a very potent god.
And this is perfect because, you know, you had mentioned it. We saw Zeus. Nehu had a great couple of Zeus games the other day. The third game where Zeus was taken away, was banned out from them, goes to the Morrigan, right? So now everything that we at least saw the other day has been stripped away. So you have to come in, have a good performance on something we haven't seen yet. Still easily done, right? That's only two gods in a vast, vast pool of mages that exist in the game. So I don't think he's going to be sweating it right now, but you're definitely feeling the pressure. The Jade Dragons definitely watched and are making sure they took note of what Sleekness like to play.
I'm very curious where Quig is going to go, though, because, I mean, we talked about the E-Set being taken away. We talked about the Horus that's come out here, but you've already got 3 physical. You throw a Horus in there, now you're adding a 4th one, and then you're leaving only your mage as your magical damage, which isn't a bad thing to have as your lone mid laner as the sole magic damage on the game. But is there some more tricks up Quig's sleeve here? As the last ban comes through, it is a dodgy, so 3 targeted bans towards the jungle in this latter half of the phase, taking some shots here, at least over at Sam for Soccer. With that Achilles locked in, we do know that there is some flexibility with this god in a few different roles.
Yeah, that's, I think, the fun thing. We saw him a lot yesterday in solo, and that wouldn't be surprising to me to see, but also something that Sam could potentially play out of the jungle if they want. And they're keeping it perfectly ambiguous so they can get a good counter pick, whether it's for jungle or solo. It's going to be helpful here. You get really safe picks. I mean, everything the Dragons have right now is high damage carries and people who can set up high damage carries. And with Yamoja, there's also that side of keep them alive real good, too. If I'm looking at this, that's actually not at all what I was thinking. I was still thinking Geb's available, and I was going to talk a lot about Geb. Luckily, he saved me from going in on one god. I like Bacchus. Actually, I really like Bacchus into this matchup, too, only because you've got that base anti-heal. If you're looking for someone who's going to disrupt the backline, you've got the belly flop to get back there. Intoxicate is a surprising amount of damage, and you get the belch with the anti-heal 50% flat that you're going to be able to apply, so that helps stifle a little bit of Yamoja and open up the opportunities to kill this Zeus a lot easier in those 3v3s.
You get this Bacchus. On the other side now, the Jade Dragons are looking at one of Sam's signature, World's MVP picks here in this Hun Bats to the jungle.
I love it.
But he immediately flips it, and as soon as I try and go onto a tangent about a god, he says, no, hold on, let's stop here. Mercury, the final selection for the Jade Dragons. And we'll talk about that.
Into massive objectives, and I really think that they can bring the fight to the Jade Dragons. With that being said, this is not a Sleekness draft, in my mind. You don't have your weird, unorthodox picks. You don't have that heavy confirmation E-set that has been doing a lot of work for them around these Gold Furies. I think this is going to be a game where one of the star players of Sleekness is going to have to step up. I'm talking about Dude Man Bro, who's getting accosted right now, and I'm talking about Oath out of the jungle. These two have been having a great season so far, and they're going to have to do it here today.
Quig has stepped up for the Sleekness team as well, especially with some of those unique picks that you talk about. We'll return to that Bacchus here in just a moment. Sam for Soccer a bit poked out, but the positioning of the Jade Dragons a bit aggressive. Not much more there as Nehu and Oath will back away. And the cat's low here. That's a dash in from Dude Man Bro. Will he find an opening kill on one of the best duo lanes in the SPL? He will not, and Panda Cat able to back away. Oath is low in the mid lane. There is scrapping happening all over the place. Sam for Soccer does complete a kill in the mid lane. Now he's got the chase down onto Oath, or Nehu rather. Oath does go down. Run from Mike, and my goodness, we are not slowing down to start off this set.
Quig forced to pop the meditation. If he had any other relic, likely would have fallen down there. Jade Dragons on the brink in the duo lane, able to fight their way back in, utilizing that sustain from Yamoja.
10 times, has won 8 out of those 10 games on the Mercury. Has had it banned against him 28 times.
Whew.
And has not been banned against anyone else in the league. It has only been banned against Sam for Soccer to the tune of 28 bans. And First Blood shows you why.
God.
Another dash in from Dude Man Bro, though. Panda Cat is low. This is where Izanami can effectively trade those auto attacks. Will make their way through PBM. And Panda Cat able to survive. Didn't get to see it in the mid lane there, Myth, but if we can take a look back and see exactly what happened. Sam for Soccer, seems pretty straightforward. Blinks
simple.
in, gets some autos.
Immediately afterward, drops Nehu down to half HP as
Lands
well.
like 20 autos.
Is that expected, though? But with the... of course, if you cover up PBM and Panda Cat, the names, is it expected that you see this much pressure? Sam for Soccer, he's going to engage over on the right side of the jungle. Oath has already died. He'll die again. Sam for Soccer's got another... Is there enough damage? I think Detonate is right down Main Street. Sam for Soccer on the follow-up, and he is off to a 3-0 start. This is worst-case scenario for Sleekness. Sam for Soccer on one of his signature picks has got 3 kills. And Myth, we're starting to get just a bit out of control here. 4 kills in 3.5 minutes.
Build. Generally, when you go towards Eye of the Jungle this early on, like Sam for Soccer has, you're sacrificing sustain, which means you're not able to gank as constantly.
Well, you can gank mid lane pretty constantly. That's where Sam for Soccer has been at the large part of this game. There are beads for Nehu. There are no longer beads for Nehu. Sam for Soccer takes a little damage. That's a trade he will take every single day of the week. And so the Agni sub 50% HP will have to limp away back towards the red buff, but PBM is not going to make this easy. You'll throw an attempt over the wall. But dude, man, bro. They were a level down. The JADE Dragons were, at least at level 5. The Sleekness dual lane reached that first. Oath will toss the pin on into the mid lane, will come up empty-handed. And so now the trend is officially worrying as Sanford Soccer heads towards Oath's tier 1 tower. Oath will waddle away here, so empty-handed for the time being is Sanford Soccer. That's a jump in from Quig. Lightning Storm down from Hurry when he's on the other end of the River's Rebuke, but it's not going to matter. The escape path has been cut off, and Sanford Soccer is keeping the Sleekness team at bay. Chronic is able to pull 1, but it's a 2-for-1 trade. Finally a kill on board for Sleekness, but the JADE Dragons get another couple.
Oath in some trouble here. FineOK not able to close gap and find that stun. The pathing we saw from Hurrywind in that last fight was so good. Jukes forward to avoid the jump.
Would have been.
As Chronic avoids the dash as well, able to leap his way out of there. The pressure from the JADE Dragons is crazy. That's an 8.5-minute tier 1 mid tower. That's the most important tier 1 in the game. All of a sudden, Gold Fury, Pyromancer going to be much easier.
Cat has also got a 1-level lead. Everyone else on the map is also 1 or 2 levels ahead outside of FineOK, who's just got a slight lead. Pyromancer, quick work by the JADE Dragons. First neutral objective will go down. Gold Fury started by Sleekness. I had wondered what the end game was here. Panicat knows this is going on. This is risky. If there's a steal on the horizon, that could just end this game. Sleekness takes down the Gold Fury, but Panicat, he's got big damage onto Quig, who will leap away. But right down the middle goes Sanford Soccer. He's got Quig, and Quig delivered to the back line. Hurrywind snags the kill. It's a double on the other end, and it is a Gold Fury for what? 3 go down. Mike gets 1. Panda adds another. 4 down for Sleekness.
Wait, there's at least 1 more. Chronic's still alive on the other side of the map, locked inside of his tier 2 tower, by the way. Look, Sleekness has never had to answer the questions that the JADE Dragons are asking right now. In the SCC, Sleekness is bar none the most aggressive early game team that they've got. Now they're playing against the progenitors of this style of play at the SPL level. The JADE Dragons brought the fight so early on, Sleekness kind of got swept away early. But there still is some potential to fight back in. 6,000 gold down, 11 minutes in, you're already out of all your tier 1 towers, no neutral objectives on the map. That's not great for Sleekness.
Yeah, it's not ideal, right? I mean, the JADE Dragons, though, I think a patient enough team that you might, scale up a little bit more. Maybe we get ourselves one
Mike might
more
solo
fight.
him.
You think he could? I mean, he's level 11. Nehu's also level 11. Let's see if Mike can get out of this one. He's not taking a whole lot of damage. Belly Flop won't be there, and Mike walks into the Lion's Den with 3 and will come out alive. Hurrywin drops the Lightning Storm.
Oh my
Goodbye.
God.
See you later. Hurrywin's on a killing spree, and this Zeus has already got Book of the Dead, stacked up Book of Thoth. And we're wondering what picks and bans might look like for Game 2 at this point. The JADE Dragons not the type of team to let a lead like this go by the wayside. Execute Threshold. FineOK will not try to weave it through. Has he done too much, though? Damage raining in from Nehu back in base. Chronic able to grab the kill on the FineOK. Looking for Sanford Soccer, who dashes right into the dark portal. Uh-oh, Sleekness showing some signs of life.
Chronic finds himself a double kill. The JADE Dragons get a little bit overzealous with their aggression, walk into no man's land, and Sleekness still a team that can punish you for it despite the goal deficit that they're... There's nothing that Sleekness gets off that is the unfortunate thing.
Alongside the Mercury. Sanford Soccer and Panda Cat will just whittle down this Oni Fury together. Let's do Man Bro with the Dark Portal wants to make things interesting. Sam is low here, but the Oni Fury goes down. It'll let out a whale, but only the JADE Dragons around to hear it. It's a Pyromancer pull by Sleekness, PBM, Hurrywin, FineOK, the 3 answers of the JADE Dragons now. But I think smart for Sleekness to back away from this one.
Yeah, Nehu is staring down the barrel of a level 13 Yamoja. Nehu takes a peek at his own levels and realizes he's 13. Panicat in, though.
That's aggressive. If that had hit, Dude Man Bro might have been in some trouble. It's a backstep on the Dark Portal to keep the health bar nice and full for Panda Cat.
Oh my God.
Horn in. Dude Man Bro down. Panda Cat grabs the solo kill. Had a couple levels of a lead, but he'll take those every day of the week. And the purple buff to go. And now nowhere on the map working for Sleekness. You had some hope for the Izanami, maybe some hope for a Nehu steal, and it won't be there. The JADE Dragons get everything and give up nothing.
Man, just such a stylish play. The pre-channel Gallarhorn to go through the Bifrost, knocks up immediately. Dude, man, bro, given no opportunity to really fight back in that engagement. Even right there, a slight bit of disrespect from the Jade Dragons. Sanford Soccer dragged the Pyromancer into Nehu's damage, said, yeah, help me out, man. Let's burn this one a little bit quicker.
Panda Cat up to a 4-0-3 start now. Fire Giant started by the Jade Dragons. Panda Cat and Sam just did the Fury on their own, and I guess we're doing the Fire Giant on our own as well. Sanford Soccer taking a little bit of damage here. Lightning Storm for Hurriwin. We'll top it all off, and the Fire Giant will be confirmed by the Jade Dragons. All 5 members, 17 minutes in, have the FG, the side steps, and the sweet moves. And if that had connected, this would have been a lot less flashy of a play, I think. The back step on the Dark Portal. And then this is the big moment where Panda Cat's able to dash in and removes any question about the early laning phase and the way that went for Sandlot. The movie, yep, yeah. Sandlot. He has to go back and complete every year of school because he never did.
Oh, yeah.
And so in like 2nd grade, they go out for recess, and Billy Madison's like a 20 or 30-something-year-old dude, and they're playing like dodgeball. And he's just beaning like 2nd graders in the face. That's what this game feels like.
A little bit.
Feels like a lopsided game of dodgeball, and we could be in the waning moments of this one here, Mifflin. Maybe one push is all the Jade Dragons need, likely for a Phoenix. Maybe for the game if the fight does not go well at all for Sleekness. A little bit of damage makes its way in on the left side. Fine, okay. Walks into the base on right, and he is not worried about it. River's Rebuke keeps Quick right where he is. Nehu has been one-shot. Sanford Soccer, he's got 2 kills in the back, but he's being chased on down by Chronic. The one saving grace for Sleekness is that the Nike has been strong, but the Nike and the Izanami stand alone. Left side Phoenix gone. And Mifflin, I think this Titan will go down shortly after. Dude, man, bro, he's got some autos in the back pocket, but that is just about it. Chronic will jump on through. Panda Cat left by the wayside. Hurriwin says goodbye to Chronic.
Oh.
Dude, man, bro. Nah, he says goodbye to our chances in this game. Jade Dragons rout Sleekness in game 1.
That was a convincing dub for the Jade Dragons boys. I don't think there's any other way to word that.
The schedule for the showcase. A lot of great things going on there. I think one of the things I'm honestly most excited for is going to be the slash map reveal kind of issue, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know a thing about this map. I don't know anything that's there. I haven't even gotten to see concept stuff of this map outside of what's been shown to the community. I'm very excited there. We have the Throwback Thursday. We're going to have some of the former Smite World champions in here kind of talking with us, having fun, hanging out. And then obviously the Smite World Championships happening Friday through Sunday with 2 quarterfinals, 2 semis, and the grand final.
There we go. I just said legally because I like using that as a, like, that's my hyperbole at home whenever Katie tells me to do something. Either way, this was just clean. I mean, you get a really good Mercury game. There were a couple of times. This is actually one we had a problem with. Back under your tower, man. Behind your tower, specifically. Go over there. You got to be a little more careful with it. Things just got out of hand super quick. This is not outrageous for the Dragons. They tend to do this to any and every team at least once throughout the year. They just have one game for some reason that gets completely out of hand. For Sleekness, Mifflin had mentioned it. This didn't feel like it was really a Sleekness draft that came through. They didn't really get to play it to the level that we got to see out of them the other day. And so if they just kind of hit the hard reset button, it's just game 1 and a best of 5. You got plenty of time to adapt. But adapt is the key here, right? Things are going to need to change, whether it's draft, play style. I mean, pretty much all of it is going to need to shift. Otherwise, if you're the Dragons, just run it back 2 more times like that. You're more than happy to take that and get a free trip to the finals.
I just watched Nehu evaporate. He was literally standing there, and then he wasn't at the very end of that play. Only kills Sleekness were able to get were on the solo laner. Chronic comes up 3-2 and 0 during that game, but everything else was all Jade Dragons. There's no way Sam only did 6,000 to him.
There wasn't enough game for him to do more.
There's no way he only did 6,000. He did that to everybody. I mean, this man was a menace across the map. I mean, when you want to talk about one of the epitomes of a late game hyper carry in Mercury, you farm up for 20, 25 minutes, and you come through and you start one-tapping gods. He was doing that in the first 2.5 minutes of the game, Gore.
Yeah. He didn't need more. It didn't match up terribly well up against the Mercury, so you had to kind of figure out a lot here in the draft, whether it's just the bans that are coming your way, but also your picks into the Dragons.
I mean, picks and bans, game number 2. Something has got to change, whether Sleekness takes some earlier priority towards that mid laner. Maybe they take some shots at the Jade Dragons here. I mean, they kind of alluded to it, maybe jokingly at the end of that game there, that maybe you see a Mercury ban. I think maybe you see a Zeus pick or ban here by Sleekness. There's no way That Sleekness
Yeah.
lets the Dragons have
Yeah.
Zeus 2 games. I mean, he was open. He was open for first pick, and they decided to go Erlong Shen. And then they just gave Hurrywin, who showed us exactly what this god can do when he's back in the meta. You just let him run on it again.
Yeah, realistically, if you want to trace that game back to the root of its problem, it is that first draft. Like, they pick Erlong Shen. That's not where the problem is. The problem started right after that when they locked in Zeus Yamoja. That's where Sleekness's game really started to go downhill and start to fly out the window, and then it only got worse from there, right? So I think that's really one of the things. I actually love that the Dragons are adapting to it, because you had mentioned with the Erlong ban, it feels like let's get this Zeus, let's grab it up, let's take it away, get Nehu something comfortable, and the Dragons just go, nah, have fun. We're not letting you do this.
And it's one of those things about being, in the pro league. You're kind of forced to adapt to playing a bunch of different gods, especially if you're a very powerful player on your team. If you have a mid laner who's dominating on 3 specific picks, we've seen teams that have taken those 3 specific picks away and kind of force you to go deeper in the god pool. And it feels like that's what the Dragons were trying to do to Sleekness here with this draft, or at least take some of those immediate essential picks out of there. But it is Sol and Odin. It's going to be the first lock in here on the side of the Jade Dragons. Odin's been kind of slipping through a few of these drafts, not quite that heavy ban priority that we've seen in some of the more recent SPL sets.
And last time it was the Dragons who got rid of him, right? They were making sure Sleekness couldn't first pick it. The Sol is interesting to me, because Sol, if this were the Dragons, right, that lock it in, hands down going mid, Hurrywin plays it. It's his most played mid laner
for sure
in this year. But realistically, this is one that is actually fully capable, because we saw it. I mean, Duneman Bro, I like him to be on something that can really carry, really get things done. Sol kinda can do that, but not as much as what we're going to see out of a Hunter. So I still kind of want to see this air towards mid, but I think having that flexibility is actually a really good start for Sleekness already. Just being able to open up that threshold and be a little more ambiguous.
Talk about a swap up here in Gods 2. Sleekness go to Xing Chen for their most likely support role. It's where we've been seeing the Xing Chen kind of go back towards and find his new home in, considering he was kind of a solo laner for such a long period of Xing Chen's life. There weren't many players who were actually running him support. Now he's kind of found his way back to a home in the dual lane. And pair that one with an Izanami. You want to talk about a dual lane that's got clear for days and to make sure that you don't get to do anything back to him. But the Jade Dragons, their response, Amuz and Cobb. And normally I would say that screams Panda Cap, but do you see some potential with maybe Hurrywin taking that god mid?
It's one of those things. Yesterday we saw the Warriors do it. Dardez is like one of the best Hunter mid players that has played Smite, period. Like, if you're going to put a Hunter in mid, Dardez is hands down the guy that you want to do it. Hurry doesn't have that same touch to me. So it's one that I wouldn't be surprised if he does pick it up. I think he's going to be more than capable of doing so. But if I had to choose AMC for Hurry or AMC for Panda, I'm giving it to Panda every single time. I think that's going to have a lot more of a flourish behind it. It's going to have a lot more carry potential. I'm not sure. The matchup versus Izanami, he's going to be able to hit harder, although she hits more often. So there's some different trades right there. But you also have to factor in how you have a Yamoja beside you, and it just makes things nice. I think Panda Cat's going to be able to have some fun.
Well, with that Izanami, actually, it does reveal that the Sol will be going over towards the mid lane. So we know we at least have the 2 carries for Sleekness locked in, then with the Xing Chen as their front line. So immediately the Jade Dragons can start going towards some jungle bans here. They take the Da Ji, and Sleekness ban the Morrigan away. But again, trying to go for a lot of these mid lane bans up against Hurrywin. I mean, you took the Sol away from him. They took the Zeus away from Sleekness here, that being the Jade Dragons. They banned the Zeus. We've seen him go Zhang Kui. We always know that he's got a Giannis in his back pocket. And the fact that there's also no Mercury ban after what Mercury did to them in the second phase here, Sam just gets to run it back again.
Yeah, so what I'd have to do the math off the top of my head, but his win rate is only going up. Now it's technically 82%, right? So he gets a 2% bump from that last win. I guess if it goes up one more, probably another 2%, maybe 3, goes up to around 85. Yeah, he's just good at this pick, and now you're opening it up. Because, look at it, Sol, Disapparate is going to be your best bet for dodging damage, and that takes way too long to get away from a Mercury. Izanami has a dash. The best thing going for them right now is the fact that Xing Shin, and specifically the Furious Roar, does help alleviate basic attack damage. So against an Amu's and Cobb, against a Mercury, if you can hit them, if they're standing next to each other, Dragons are doing something wrong. But if you can hit them both, then you are going to be able to stifle their damage. Then you start thinking, at this point, maybe attack speed, like Witchblade, horrific emblems. I'm starting to look towards shells, maybe Nemeans, like anything that can stifle the amount of damage coming out of the Dragons. That's what I'm going for.
Well, with this Zhang Kui lock-in, we now know that Samuzikab is going to be going over to Panda Cat in the dual lane. Osiris and Susano, the final 2 picks here for Sleekness before they jump into game number 2.
And we know how to play against it better this time? Or are we looking at a disrespect allowing the Mercury through again?
Look, Mercury, I don't think is in a current state where you have to ban him out. Maybe Sanford Soccer's is a different story.
Specifically
but
Sam.
The Jade Dragons, holistically, every single lane, barring duo lane, kind of got off to a wild start. So I think that Sleekness can lay the majority of game 1 at the feet of that. They don't have to say, well, Sanford Soccer just did it on his own. We misplayed around level 1, and our mid laner got first blooded, and from there it kind of snowballed. So I don't think that now is the time to be panic banning the Mercury. I'm fine with Sleekness waiting 1 more.
Well, Sanford Soccer is back in the mid lane. Nehu is as well. Only a little bit of damage, and so Nehu will not fall for first blood this time around. Oath is here, and he is on the Susano. What a fun matchup this is going to be in the jungle. Both of them feeling like Sanford Soccer-esque picks that we've seen in the SPL throughout the year so far. Sam takes a hell of a lot of damage on that walk-in and walk-out. But no surprise here in the mid 2v2. So I'm intrigued, Myth, if we're going to get some of these 1v1 sort of fun brawls as this game goes on throughout the jungle.
I'm expecting it, especially considering the damage output that we just saw from Sleekness through the mid lane. Playing with fire here. I don't know when I'm allowed to talk.
Right, you're like slightly hesitant. I don't know if we're going in.
Good lord!
Takes so much damage. But Panda Cat and Mike, they don't have the follow-up just yet. Does Mike have enough? Oh, he's got the stun. Hit the auto. Mike does. First blood, Jade Dragons. And it felt like just a matter of time.
Why is Dude Man Bro standing his ground, bro? You're not winning that trade. Both Panda Cat and PBM were at around 50% HP. Quig and Dude Man Bro hovering around that 10% mark. And he just stands there. He took the fight, maybe relying on that death toll to keep him sustained up. What is completely wild, though, is that Quig still has meditation. He could have probably used that and saved his homie.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so for next engage,
we're medic.
Still there, right. Might need it here. Sleekness sends Oath over to the left side of the map. There's going to be an engage. There's an engage over on the right as well. As a dive happens in the solo lane, it's a pullback in by Oath, and Oath returns the favor as the Jade Dragons Hunter goes down. Maybe some of the downfall of the AMC, slightly immobile, especially when it can be overextended, and Oath finds himself an easy kill.
Yeah, good rotation from Oath to punish that AMC early on, especially considering Purple Buff has spawned up. We'll see if PBM can put up a defense here. It's a long shot, to be sure.
It's dropped down by Sleekness. Can Mike buy enough time here, though? Quig is low. Mike has no Omi. That's Oath, who's grabbed a kill early on here for Sleekness. And so now maybe, Myth, you start to talk about the power curve of this Susano. As it looks like Mike does steal away that purple buff, which feels nice. You lose one, you take away the other. But this is now a good opportunity. Oath just had no chance in game 1 right on the Erlang Shen. Now he's got an early kill. None of his lanes are getting decimated. Solo lane especially not. Fine, okay, ganked. And Oath has got another. And suddenly the Sleekness jungler showing up in this best of 5.
Sleekness jungler now 2-0. But despite having a successful gank in the dual lane, Panda Cat is either even or slightly ahead in experience. He takes over to 4 first.
Oh, they're going to do it again. Panda Cat has no beads. Quick does not have his ultimate, so that's a small win for the Jade Dragons. He's pulled back in, and Oath is on a killing spree. 3-kill streak for Sleekness and their jungler. And the Jade Dragons, I don't even know if you can call that one overextended. They're just hanging out in the middle of the lane. But there was no vision on the Susano, and Oath walks in and punishes the beads that were still on cooldown. To see very often, if at all. Wait, he might just do it again. He did. He stole away another.
Oh, man.
All right, so we've gone even on purple buffs. Dude Man Bro and Quig steal one. Mike walks in, steals the other. And mid lane, hey, that's an apt place to start because Hurdiwin's received a gank, and Hurdiwin has received a kill. And now this Zhang Kui, which we haven't seen much of this year. A little bit, not much. Off to a good start. I'm racking my brain. I don't know. Cyclone Spin has maybe played the AMC in the dual lane a little bit. But Panda Cat showed early that there was good chunk potential. Sam for Soccer. This is the old-fashioned Mercury gank on the left side of the map. Two-man bro thought he was alone, but
Rip.
it's anything but. Panicat gets a kill on board. Quig sent by the wayside. Oath is here. That's the killing spree. Susano, who's over in the duel lane. He will pull Sanford Soccer right back into his grasp. The Jade Dragons, they'll snag 2 kills. River's Rebuke no good. But Oath will use the beads, and he will walk out with an extra kill.
Man, the timing of those beads were so strong. If you were even a microsecond late, you're getting pulled in every single time. Mike unsuccessful in stealing away yet another purple buff. Oath able to secure that one for himself and puts his 4th kill on the board. But that fight goes the way of the Jade Dragons. Make no mistake.
Polar Bear Mike, I mean, I'm looking at the mini-map, wondering what he's looking at here. Maybe just being annoying,
Yikes.
as the pull won't be there. And Mike will dash right on away, receive some of that extra healing. And so an interesting build path to say the absolute least. Attack speed reduced. And so Mike looking maybe for more just healing and utility right now outside of full-on prots.
Yeah, and you're getting a little bit more of an HP stack as well, so Stone Nagaya's passive going to get a little bit more value. It's a double Hunter composition from Sleekness, so the attack speed strip going to be very nice, especially considering the positioning Mike has been taking in all these fights. He's W King, and if he's close by, all of a sudden everybody on Sleekness is going to be a little bit weaker.
You can feel a little tension building up on the left side of the map here as Sleekness poked their heads on the Jade Dragon side of the jungle, now trying to disengage. That's a good dodge from Nehu, but the Aegis is out to avoid. Not much.
That's
the damage
crazy.
is delayed, but delayed is it. Sanford Soccer soloed by Oath, who was on a rampage. The Susano continues to be the saving grace for this Sleekness team here. Typhoon is out, and that'll knock up Hurrywind on the back end, but there is no ultimate for the Zhang Kui. There are beads, but there's a Whirlwind, a Rage, and Steel, and there's a pullback in by Oath, but they have not finished off the kill. Hurrywind walking on away from this fight. Mike doing the best that he can to sustain up his mid laner, but Hurrywind will go down for the 6th kill of the game for Oath. Final K out of the solo lane.
Rotates in, finds the blink, trying to chase Oath over the wall. Just needs to close that gap slightly.
Ooh.
Good slow. Burns the beads, and
Yep.
PBM gets credit for the kill. That's the Jade Dragon saying, it's time. We're going to press W key, and hopefully we went out on the engagement. A fantastic play from Oath. Cuts off Sanford Soccer's rotation into the jungle, but it's fine okay. Getting to the more important objective earlier than Chronic, and now it's the Jade Dragons pulling the gold.
What can Quig get done here on the Gold Fury? This is a pivotal moment in the game. At least delaying it keeps things interesting for Sleekness, because as good of a start as Sleekness has had, the gold lead 1,000 for the Jade Dragons. XP lead almost 1,000 for the Jade Dragons. So we're
It was PBM and Hurrywind sauntering through Sleekness's jungle saying, if we close gap, somebody's going to die. And unfortunately for Sleekness, it was Nehu.
There's a lot of sustain. Hurrywind refused to go down quietly in that last engagement. There's some sustain as well. Double ultimate from Quig. Doesn't get anything outside of looking cool as PBM and Hurrywind sent off to the side. And so no problem there. Hurrywind spends his ult, but a big engage tool now missing from Sleekness. So Whirlwind, Rage, and Steel goes back onto cooldown for just a little bit more time. It's a grouping now from the Jade Dragons in mid. All eyes on this tier 1 tower. Nehu slightly low on health, pretty low on mana. Does not have his Aegis for 15 seconds. And Sleekness will sacrifice their mid tier 1 with no pushback.
Mid tier 1 gone, duo tier 1 gone. Chronic
Chronic
might follow
gone.
pretty shortly, burning pretty fast. Yeah, he's gone.
Lord of the Afterlife up and
maybe
over
not.
the wall. He is gone from the fight. We're not wrong, Miff. We just are
Okay.
right in a different way, unless PBM.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
We'll find the kill on the Chronic anyway. That's a 401 Yamoja now. As Final K cages off Sleekness. 2 of them caught in the arena with Final K here, but Final K
Great
walks out
ult.
without doing much damage. River's Rebuke separates everything as Sleekness are on either sides of the waves, and Final K will lock down Nehu, and the Jade Dragons starting to roll through these fights. Oath has already died once this game. A second might be around the corner. Panicat uses his beads to avoid the Typhoon, and Quig provides the last bit of peel.
Quig might have had to sacrifice himself here. Good stun from Fine. Okay, here's the follow-up. Hey, remember that ultimate? All it did was look cool, but this time it's going to give you some
nice.
CC immunity.
That's a fantastic Riptide from Polar Bear Mike. This has taken a little while, but the result is going to be the same, which is Quig going down. It was only a matter of who, and it's Fine OK, who's resurged back in this solo lane. Remember, that's where some pressure went from Sleekness early, kept Fine OK at bay. But Destiny arrives all the same. Fire Giant pulled by the Jade Dragons. Is this earlier than the FG was
Exactly
in game
1 minute earlier.
Is this somehow faster? You're telling me Oath got off to a 6-0 start and the Jade Dragons are doing a faster Fire Giant than they were in game 1? That's unbelievable.
Oh, Chronic?
This team,
Never mind.
hard to stop. You gotta sow some intrigue. But the intrigue dies with the Fire Giant. The Jade Dragons get it on all 5.
On the siege. Because I'd argue that Sleekness have got pretty strong siege defense. great CC, good AoE damage, decent ability to keep the waves out of these towers as well. But it's hard to argue against a 18-minute Fire Giant.
Yeah, are we defending this tier 2 tower? This might be the last thing you do if Sleekness lose this fight handedly. Polar Bear Mike, he's been a menace from minute 1 this game. 403 on the Emoja now. Only member of the Jade Dragons on a killing spree. And Polar Bear Mike building into a little bit of damage late on in this Yemoja build that has been intriguing, but it has been working out. When you're playing like this, Polar Bear Mike can seemingly do no wrong. The tier 2 tower will start to crumble down. Oath does some good damage to FinoK, who's separating out this engagement. And Mike and Fino, as 2 members against 5, just buy enough space for the Jade Dragons to walk down the tower.
Yeah, nobody's going to kill either Mike or FinoK right now, especially together. The healing is too much. The sustain from Fire and Stone of Gaia means that Mike can do no wrong. Even if he gets dropped down to half HP, he probably fully resustains it in under 20 seconds. So now the Jade Dragons with an early Fire Giant siege to say, hey, there's no reason to go for a Phoenix. We're only 19 minutes in. Let's go ahead and clear out all of these towers and pick up as much gold as possible.
Quig goes in and heads on out with only 1 toss.
Great cage.
Okay, tossed right back into perfect cage distance to the rest of Sleekness. Typhoon flies through, but it's only disengaged. The Jade Dragons now walking on board as the tier 2 tower does crumble. FinoK has to use the bead. Sanford Soccer and Oath, they're dueling it out over here on the left. Haven't seen much from the Mercury this game. We have seen plenty from the Susano, but will we see any more in this fight? FinoK would like to say no, but the beads get used. And Susano walks out just fine. 2 tier 2 towers down, and the Fire Giant impactful so far for the Jade Dragons.
Take a peek.
Depends how much respect you're given.
A lot. These are the Jade Dragons. He's 6-1.
Right. Quantify that though. Spread your arm. Well, spread your arms. Close.
I give it like a hoagie.
Yes,
it's about
Chad,
hoagie
you can't see it, but his arms are pretty far apart right now. That's a lot. A hoagie's worth of gold is actually a lot of money here. Maybe one more team fight here in this game as the Jade Dragons have regained control despite an onslaught from the Susano. Chronic walks forward, takes a good bit of damage as Quig walks in as well. There's a whirlwind of Rage and Steel waiting around the back corner, but FinoK yet again finds 3 in the cage. And it's a sonic boom right down the middle from Sanford Soccer that has separated out this fight. Sam goes back to pick up the scraps, and it's Quig who will die first and foremost in this fight. The Jade Dragons resurging together. Typhoon flies through, only knocks up 1, and the call is go back for the FG.
Yeah, the Jade Dragons, they're just so much more succinct in these team fights. The shot calling, the target selection is superior. What happened in that fight? Sleekness step up to take their eyes and just peek at the Fire Giant, and they immediately get separated. Quig, surrounded by 5 members on his own in the back line of the Jade Dragons, looking around like Travolta. Where's my team? I don't know. And then he falls down. Nehu tried to step back up and peel for his homie. He dies for it. Seems like this is a squad, Sleekness that is all for 1 and 1 for 1 as well.
Yeah, All for One's the bad guy, right? And my hero. So we're sad about All for One right now. Sleekness needs some of that power, though. He's strong nonetheless. Oath is as well. Right side, Phoenix weak and dead as the Jade Dragons walk forward and secure the objective there. Jade Dragons to regroup and push down one of these Phoenix. We have seen crazier things happen.
The defense is still good.
We've
for
seen
Sleekness.
crazier things happen. It's a 10K gold lead. 1 Phoenix is already gone. There are only Fire minions down the right side of the map. That's something you have to worry about if you're Sleekness. You want everyone here against the Jade Dragons, much less somebody who has to go over to the right and deal with the only Fire minions that'll be pushing down onto your Titan here shortly. One more wave from the Sleekness base. We'll delay those. That might be the same mindset here from the Jade Dragons. The waves finally work in left and in mid, and that's usually when you see these teams start to fight. Left side Phoenix taken down low, half HP remaining on the bird. The Jade Dragons as 4 will back on away. You got Oath in mid here, Myth, but FinoK is doing a fantastic job of separating.
Yeah, FinoK says, hey, Oath's the issue. Let's just make sure he's not in the fight. The most important member of your team forced to defend the base against enhanced minion waves. So the Jade Dragons take out that left side Phoenix absolutely for free.
Yeah, the Jade Dragons just bought their time. We knew the Oni Fire minions were coming. Sleekness did as well. They were hoping that maybe there'd be a misstep before that. But that is pure patience from the Jade Dragons. And this gold lead is near insurmountable. Goodbye, Nehu, for the 5th time this game. He got as many deaths as Oath had a killing spree early on. Chronic, he falls to FinoK, and the Jade Dragons, 1 by 1, working through the Sleekness composition. You're going to have Fire minions here shortly. And you're just trying to clean up some of these picks. End this game easily. The Jade Dragons, they're able to shrug off an early deficit. They're able to take game 2 and send us on to a game 3 up 2-0.
Well, I'm going to run back the analysis I dropped at the end of Game 1. Something's got to change.
You just go for a draft that, while it feels like it's going to be solid in and of itself, and, you know, Oath gets a good couple of kills, Yamoja is one of the best picks for PBM. Panda Cat's nuts at AMC. You've got Zhang Kui, which actually they were able to capitalize against a couple of times. And, you know, Odin, well, Finoke is just good in the solo lane. And realistically, that was something that did well, but wasn't necessarily the standout end-all, be-all for me. The things that really, really were writing things home are exactly the same in Game 1 and Game 2. It's this Mercury and this Yamoja that are doing too much. I mean, Mike was like 4-0-1 at point one, or
Right here,
yeah,
actually,
at some point, right after this,
Right there.
So you can't let that happen. Is the best way to describe it. You got to be able to deal with the support, and I think Yamoja is on the chopping block now.
Yeah, I think Yamoja, Mercury, if he doesn't get picked in the first 3, is probably one that you can maybe look to ban, because Sam's now on a hot streak. Him and Mike are on hot streaks with these gods. There's no way that you let them get them both again unless they get picked in top 3, but I cannot imagine Yamoja makes it past the first 3 bans.
So it is this awkward position where, you know, Sleekness, they've been banning Kamazotz, Erlong, Kleena. Before that, it was Ganesh instead of the Erlong Shen. I would drop Kleena probably into the mix. I know Sam's going to be a threat on her as well, but he's already been a threat on Mercury, so that's something that you could maybe swap out. But definitely you have to drop something there, probably the Erlong.
Second pick
maybe.
here, and they will be second pick. So with that being said, the Dragons' first pick, they have a lot that they can grab. They can insta-grab the Mercury if they want. They can go for the Yamoja. They can go for the Zeus. Sleekness now has to kind of make that decision, I'd imagine, here, of they need to ban the Yamoja and or the Zeus, probably both, because if they leave one open, surely the Dragons just take the other one.
Well, they won my heart already because they've taken one positive step in the right direction. They took Mike away from Yamoja, and that makes that duo lane so much more manageable now. Hey, and you know what? There's 2 steps in the right direction because they took away Zeus from Herwind. They've managed 2/3 of the real problem in this core 3v3. And the glory is, you don't have to ban Mercury here because it's not been picked up in the top 3. I like the fact that they go for a more highly executed, or high prioritized assassin, because in those bottom 2, last time around they banned Morgan, they banned Hell. Just ignore those. Definitely ban at least Mercury in your bottom 2 here, I think, if you're Sleekness. Depending on the rest of the draft. It might not slot in well to what the Dragons have, and you might have to work around that.
Similar bans for the Dragons, though. It is the Eset and the Ola run, so taking a shot in the dual lane, Erlong Shen, and then as we talked about, the Kleena, Zeus, and Yamoja from Sleekness to answer 2/3 of the main problem. Kamazot's locked in here, and we've been seeing a lot more of Kamazot's going towards the solo lane as of recent. I mean, Yarkor played it the other day. We saw it in some of the solo lane matchups before we even got here to this SWC qualifier rounds. So this Kamazotz is the first pick. This doesn't immediately spell to me that this is going as a Sam pick here.
And that's the glory of a Kamazotz first pick. The downside is, and this is actually specifically for this event so far, so Kamazotz has 7 first picks, 10 games so far, and he's 5-5 total. But in his first pick games, he's only won 2 of them. So most of his wins have been not from this first pick position, whether it's the top 2 on the other side, or you're going to see, actually he has 11 games now because he got played a little bit earlier. But that's something that I think is going to be a very big and important distinction to be made here. The Dragons may be breaking a trend that has happened throughout the rest of the weekend, but that is a little bit of a problem, and you called it right on there. And I can't believe we live in a world where Mercury got top 3'd because it's just so rare. But it happened, J-Mac.
We live in a world where Mercury Zhang Kui got top 3.
I want to go find out if they've ever done a Mercury top 3.
I cannot. Well, obviously they probably Mercury top 3 back when Sam was actually dominating on the guy, and he got 28 bans against him because of it. I can imagine maybe then he was getting some of them. But Hachiman and the Morrigan on the opposite side here for Sleekness. The Morrigan had been banned away from their mid laner so many times through. So Sleekness now finally maybe getting Neu on something more comfortable. Dude Man Bro on Hachiman, which he's been performing stellarly on throughout the weekend and throughout his time in the SCC. And then they get a Nike as a nice little frontline bonus here. Sleekness with a pretty nice top 3 to try to change things out.
And I'll give them credit. I doubted them picking Mercury top 3 for a lot of this year. Half the games that he had played up to this point were top 3 with the Mercury. So maybe I'm the one who needs to make sure that I double check that one. And Zhang Kui's been up there twice in a lot of their games. So, you know, not necessarily the most priority for them, but it is something that they do like to pick up in their top 3. And honestly, it's probably because of what I was highlighting earlier, right? If you don't get Mercury right there, it's getting banned from you. There's
For
no
sure.
way they are there.
100%.
Well, I guess there's two worlds we live in. There's a world where it gets banned and you're like, oh no, Sam, you have to play something else. And then there's another world which I'm infuriated because it doesn't get picked and then Sleekness didn't ban it, and I'd have been real mad then. But luckily we don't have to live in that world. Instead, they still have to deal with Mercury and they're probably not happy about it.
Yeah, that would not have been a great day for you and I here on the desk.
Oh no, I would have been fine. I think Sleekness would have been upset.
Well, I was gonna say, on the battleground, it would not have been a very fun game for them having to go up against the Mercury if they didn't pick a top 3 and then ban it away here, and it still somehow slips through. But that is not the case. Instead, the second wave of bans going to get spent on a little bit of the dual lane here for Sleekness. They banned Ganesh and Heimdall. The Jade Dragons, they take away a couple of assassins, Nemesis and Serket. Not the two gods I would have 100% expected, especially with the performance that Oath had on Susano last game. And now Sleekness just get a 4th pick of Geb, who aggro will sit here and preach to the high heavens as being one of the best gods in the game. We'll see if we can do something here for Sleekness.
I love Sleekness's draft in this game more than anything they've played today because it feels, well, and it's specifically like Nike and Geb are just going to be good. They slot in really well to pretty much any team that you're going to be able to play it. But this Hachiman, we talked about it coming into today, was one of their higher performing gods, especially that we saw earlier in the week, but just in general for Dude Man Bro. And of course, when you look at the Morrigan, I think that is one of the better mid laners that we have gotten to see for Sleekness as well. When Nehu was playing Zeus, it looked great, and the Morrigan was a really good secondary pick. Plus, you get good transformations. You got the Nike on your side. If Mercury gets out of hand, all of a sudden you get to turn into a nice, really, really fun hyper carry. But I expect to see this Nike come up a little bit more often than not, and I think this opens up Sleekness to play their game a little bit more than the Dragons forcing them to play the way the Dragons want.
The Dragons are looking at Sylvanas and On Her, currently being hovered, not locked in just yet, so I won't really get my hopes too far out there for either of these picks just yet. The On Her kind of being bounced around here. So we know now with the Camazotz Mercury that Camazotz is going to be going over towards the solo lane. Final K piloting that one. Mercury back in Sam's hands. Jean-Qui obviously now going to the mid lane since the Camazotz will be in solo. And it will be a Sylvanas lock-in for the Jade Dragons. So Mike going from one healer to another. And then Panicat going on one of his signature picks here in Season 8, the Danzaburo. How do you feel about this dual lane out of the Dragons?
Honestly, I actually am a huge fan of Sylvanas. So going up against Hachiman Geb, I mean, you're going to have pressure, right? That's actually the biggest thing. Geb's not going to be able to give you too much. Hachiman, as good as his clear can be, it's not going to help balance out Sylvanas and Danzaburo. So ultimately, you are going to lose a little bit of the lane phase. But kill potential-wise, maybe a little slower overall for, I think, both lanes. A good pull when the Geb shield isn't available is going to absolutely tear through the Hachiman, though. So I think ultimately you're just going to see the Dragons getting easy farm. That makes it a lot easier for Sam to not even worry about the duo lane because of the pressure they already have. You can go focus on mid. If you need to, you can go help out that Camazotz, because if he's going up against Nike, especially pre-shield Nike, 2 assassins can absolutely eat through her health bar.
Now the final pick here for Sleekness towards their jungler. Oath went with Susano last time, and he's going to go with Thor this time around. We saw Thor out of SOT yesterday, had a decent performance with this assassin in the solo lane.
Beneficiary of some good situations in Game 2 and was able to capitalize well. And in the jungle matchup here in this game, bringing up the Mercury, I am sad, and I'm hopeful, because Thor is like one of my favorite gods in the game. And so I'm hopeful that Oath is able to make some plays happen here, Myth. But talk to me about carry ability. You're 6-0 on a Susano, and the game still doesn't go your way. Are you feeling more confident? Say Oath is off to the same start that he was in Game 1, or in Game 2 rather, here in Game 3. Is Thor giving you more confidence with the rest of the team that Sleekness has?
Woo! Nice pull from Quig. Gonna find the taunt in as well. Dropping him low. Could be first blood. Panicat
Oh, no,
can't
Panicat's
connect the
low.
last auto attack. Good peel from Dude Man Bro 429. But it does cost him his beads. So anyway, you're asking about Thor in the jungle. So yeah,
you
assuming
so
that
much.
Oath is
I can't say this
gonna
guy.
get to that exact same start of 6-0, I'm less confident because Thor, blanket statement, worse than Susano.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, and so you did my thing, so I'll just do your job now, right? Is that how that works? No. That was a good pull-in from PBM onto Quig.
Oh, nice.
Doesn't force much, though Dude Man Bro did have to use the beads. Panicat had to use those beads as well. And so PBM on the Sylvanas Smith, I think, is going to be a fun story to follow throughout this game. The Emoja was oppressive in game number 2. A Sylvanas who's feeling himself can be much the same. Sanford Soccer on the Mercury. You haven't seen these early ganks over in the solo lane that much. We see one here, Chronic. Goodbye, says Chronic. Ooh, but goodbye, says Fine OK. I'll take that one to go. And the Camazot's off to a first blood.
Man, and Camazot's getting off to a roaring start does not bode well for Chronic in the solo lane. This is about the only opportunity that Fine OK would have had to have killed this Nike. Once Sentinel of Zeus comes online, I don't really think there's going to be much 1v1 or even 2v1 potential as insofar as Chronic is playing at least relatively safe in the lane.
For a while here in Season 8. Was a period of time where more ADCs in the SPL were playing this pick. Pandacat still, every once in a while, will lean back into it. If I see a Donza locked in, I'm assuming it's Pandacat playing it. And it's such a unique kind of power curve there as Mike relentless around the purple buff. Oath. Maybe making something happen here in mid. Hurrywind's got beads. Doesn't need to use them. Sanford Soccer, though, he makes his way mid, but with Hurrywind low and no ultimate, nothing more to be had there.
He's a god that is very adept at putting the duo lane ahead, as well as Danzaburro's got some phenomenal follow-up on the Sonic Boom.
Yep.
So keep your eyes on Sam. If this is anything like Sets of Past, he's going to be jamming it down.
Sam and Oath, meeting of the minds on opposite sides of the jungle. That's Anvil of Dawn up. He may be thinking that there's a re-engage from somewhere, maybe just getting some vision down beneath himself. And, you know, largely unimpactful as far as the immediate game state, but that was the first Anvil of Dawn we've seen this game, and as far as the next little bit of time goes, minute or so, that's going to be on cooldown. So Oath's ability to immediately impact with that ultimate now missing.
Dave, I don't say this often.
Okay.
I have got zero inkling as to why Oath would have hit that button when he did. Maybe he's worried that Hurrywind was like stealthing up on him, and then I realized, oh wait, no, Hurrywind's the Zhongqi, so that's not an option.
Right.
Maybe he thought Sanford Soccer was going to blink over the wall and chase him down. Sanford Soccer does not have blink.
Right.
There's really nothing Oath could have done with that.
Oath doesn't have Anvil of Dawn for this. Does have the hammer to get out alive, but Fine OK taking a 2v1, feeling just fine about it. But Hurrywind being jumped on here. Great opportunity for Sleekness to get a kill in this game. Bat out of hell from Nehu on the transformation. Gets it done. And the Sleekness mid laner able to find a kill. Sanford Soccer, he's got his ultimate, and Chronic learns that the hard way. JADE Dragons pull one back.
Man, just Hurrywin getting caught out in mid. Phenomenal rotation from the duo lane of Sleekness, both Quig and Dude Man, bro. The Cavalry show up and make sure that he is able to finish off that kill. All favoring the SPL veterans.
This one is a pretty hefty gold lead given the timing of the game, 1.5k. Nearly 6 minutes in. Nehu's got to use the beads here, get some good damage in on the PBM. Nehu takes plenty of it in return. One of those two characters has sustain, but there's not enough sustain. His Oath on the rotation in. We'll double tap Mike and put him in the grave. Hurrywin walks forward. Does not have his ultimate. Save for Soccer, though. Forces out the beads. Who nearly gets another double tap worth of damage. Has Anvil of Dawn. This would be risky for Oath to go back in on this fight, so he will not. And an effective trade from Sleekness in the middle.
Has maybe his Oath as well has lost his defensive relic. Blink down on Quig. This is an opportunity for the JADE Dragons to take a fight despite losing out in that engagement.
Myth, have you seen like this level of tier 1 tower mid pressure early in games in a long time? I'm thinking about how early the Sleekness mid towers have fallen down. All you can do is laugh. That is absurd. Sanford Soccer, he's gonna die. But that was gross from everyone on the JADE Dragons. Unfortunately, you're trading back 2 kills. As far as fun goes, I think the JADE Dragons win.
Yeah, 100%.
As far as trade goes, though, Sleekness in the 2-for-1 feeling like they got some good value.
Man, Nehu steps up. He's like, I've got Changeling. No way I die. I've got Chronic preloaded. I'm just going to Sentinel of Zeus, and he gets immediately shut down and clotheslined by Sanford Soccer. But there is risk to playing inside an enemy tower at the 7-minute mark, and the JADE Dragons receive the brunt of it. A good trade for Sleekness, and now some slight leads potentially. Nehu, despite falling down first, got a 1-level advantage over Hurrywinds.
You know, sometimes, and that's one of those moments to be clear, words aren't going to do it justice. Pure laughter is about all that came to mind there, because that was some of the most damage I've seen do in that short of a window in a long, long time. Chronic. Unlucky. This has been happening from minute 1. And Myth, you know, now it makes sense because of how far Fine OK is, and Sanford Soccer has got a pretty decent lead as well. We thought that early in this laning phase was the only time you were going to be able to kill off this Nike.
Oh, man.
No, but it's been a combo of Fine OK and Sanford Soccer. Nehu transforms
How did Mike get here?
Well, he just walks on over on the Sylvanas, gets the knock-up on an Ahu, forces the bat out of hell. Oath does not have Anvil of Dawn, but does have a slow applied Sanford Soccer with his 3rd kill, and it looks like the build is going to be the same for this Mercury Crusher. Into a Rage. Team no, Panda Cat a little bit ahead immediately in the build. You imagine Dude Man Bro will head back, finish up an item. But outside of mid-miff, not much is working here for this Sleekness team, and everywhere Sanford Soccer goes, blood, well, it tends to rain down, and looks like the left side of the map is going to be the next. Is Quig tossed by the wayside.
Hey, Dude Man Bro still has his ultimate, is going to get hit by the Sonic Boom and loses out on the beads, but shoot, whoa, he canceled it?
Yeah, he did. Mike canceled it out, but this is why we see an Oath on the re-engage. The Anvil
What?
after the fact has pulled back a kill or 2 for Oath. This time it's just a kill on the Sanford Soccer. There's still a Thor here. There's a second Thor here as Nehu's transformed. And the Anvil of Dawn rings down on the left side of the map for a second time. But Fido K's level 12, and he's got 2 kills, and Hurrywin's in as well. You do not want to be a part of this fight if you're Sleekness. You get 2, but you lose everyone but Chronic.
That was a lot of interesting decision-making in the micro. We can evaluate how the fight starts. It's Sanford Soccer trying to set up for Panda Cat on the Danza Burrow. Sleekness over towards the Draugr, are able to pick that structure up, but lose out on a couple of lives. Quig falls down first. I thought Dude Man Bro was going to hop on Epona and just ride out of there.
Return kills from plays that Jade Dragons have made but
So
overextended on. The Jade Dragons haven't fumbled even slightly despite being down 5 kills to Oath in game number 2.
Yep.
And so I appreciate you sowing some intrigue.
Oh, thank you.
And there is some to be had.
Is there?
There is some to be had. But it's not much. The Jade Dragon, and it's just
here it
because
is.
of history. They have not showed us any signs of slowing down.
Great
Panda
ult.
Cat rocket out as Hurrywin rotates in from the mid lane. The wall will receive the rocket from the Jade Dragon's Hunter. Oath dunks down. Hurrywind is alone, but Zhang
Great
Kui
pull.
just fine to sustain himself up. Nehu is transformed here as well. A fantastic target. As Final K's got some good items in that build. Nehu pulls a kill back. This is what we've seen. Sleekness punishing an overextension. Now Sanford Soccer alone in the purple buff pit, but he trades places with Oath, and he's walking out of the backside of this fight. Quig rolls on through, but he does not have enough damage. Sanford Soccer will live unless the minions get it done. They will not. And Final K drops back into the back end of this fight. Will punish Sleekness for being here.
Double root from PBM keeps Quig locked down. Credit for the kill goes over to Panda Cat. Chronic able to utilize that Sentinel of Zeus to walk out. There was some pretty insane individual plays that I'll break down once Chronic falls down. Pull, no good. Final K connects the slow, and Chronic walks on out of there. We saw PBM cancel the EI Jutsu from Dude Man Bro, which would have likely have killed Panda Cat with his ultimate. And then later on, it was Nehu who transforms into the Camazotz, jumps over the wall, would have immediately shut down Hurrywin. PBM frame perfect, pulls him on landing back through the wall. The Sylvanas plays are crispy so far. The Jade Dragons.
You saying Mike's good at Smite or something?
Yeah, I guess so, man.
He's at a level versus the Valhalla Valkyries. But, all right, so we saw what? It was an 18-minute Fire Giant game 1.
Yep.
I think 17-something in game 2. If the Jade Dragons go for it here in the next couple minutes, they will just continuously one-up themselves. And that Rage is fully stacked. The Transcendence is fully stacked. There's plenty of damage to get those objectives done.
You get the Serrated Edge finished up on Sanford Soccer, so his burst potential, his core of the build completed all the way. Seems like Final K is actually going to be going down the crit tree as well. Not
all right,
something
this
you
is
get to see.
2v4. Let's see how it turns
they
out.
lose
2v4.
this.
This should be a Sleekness win, but Mike gets a pretty good ultimate. Panda Cat.
What? What?
Oh no, he forces Dude Man Bro to use Jaegus. That was nearly disastrous for Sleekness. You have to win a 2v4. That's a dunk down from Oath. Does not connect for the stun, but the wall sure does. And this is where the reactionary nature of the Jade Dragons will make Sleekness pay. You've gotten Panda Cat, but it's going to cost you at least Nehu and likely Quig.
Quig walking out of there slowly. Doesn't even get a chance to channel the rollout. Going to fall down to Sanford Soccer. Chronic makes his rotation in. Has the ultimate available, but likely will not try and chase out this battle. Sleekness in a 4 versus 2. Take 1, and then lose 2.
That's good math.
A lot closer than these have been.
A lot closer than these have been. Interesting enough that the Winter Dogs at least feel competitive, right, against you know, what could be the Olympus Bolts or the Valhalla Valkyries. The Jade Dragons will not best their Fire Giant time from game 2.
They might
we'll get
tie
pretty
it.
close to it. It might be a tie. I don't know if I feel the same about Sleekness, no, Myth. I mean, look, this is the Jade Dragons. This is the style of game that they can play. Sleekness did not show us much here today. And so you hope for just a complete transformative effort the next time we see this team play.
You gotta hope. Thor still has not made his way back to base. The Jade Dragons already inside the Phoenix. Nehu invisible, but not willing to step in, and the Phoenix falls down. Sleekness decided to trade out a Tier 2 tower on the left-hand side and lose out on the more important objective on the right.
Are you giving it back to me?
Yeah,
You're gonna do some chair 1, give it back to me?
Yeah, go for it.
So Sleekness, and my point is, if you're placing bets on our next set, fans would have the Jade Dragons in the lead. Okay, this is a 1v5.
Four
technically
now.
4, because Final K's already deleted Nehu. We'll see. I want to see some resurgence here from the Valhalla Valkyries and Sleekness. Hopefully able to get their feet back underneath them in what has been a disappointing set for Sleekness. A fantastic set, though, for the Jade Dragons, as this lead has, if it weren't already, it's officially out of control. And the last-ditch effort from Sleekness underneath their mid-lane Phoenix. Dude, man, bro, he is melting in the backline, and it is fine, okay? You probably didn't need to press any buttons except left-click. You will auto-attack down the Sleekness AD carry. It is a 7-0 finish for the Jade Dragons solo laner, a 3-0 finish in this set for the Jade Dragons, and they will move on in the SWC placement rounds.
Man, Sleekness just weren't able to get their feet under them, Dave. Generally, this is a team that loves to play that early game aggressive style where they're playing these unorthodox picks.
What happened for them, and it's an unfortunate start for this portion of the bracket, especially as a showcase up against the Dragons. But if you're looking at it the other side, first off, it's double elim, so Sleekness, they're going to be fine. They're going to be playing against either the Bolts or the Valkyries, depending on who wins and loses the next set. But realistically, what you can look at here is the Dragons, one step closer to a trick to Worlds, but two, a very clean start to their week/weekend because they get to come in, have great KDAs, good kills. Final K was like 7-0-7 or something ridiculous like that in this game. And they felt very, very comfortable, confident. Didn't really play anything crazy outlandish either. Like, Mercury is something that they played in the past, Jonquay as well, but it's not something they've been doing a lot recently, so maybe you show a little bit of your hand, but at the end of the day, I think you had good games, and I think you were able to get away with doing a lot without showing off too much and being able to prepare for now your finals matchup on, what is that, Saturday?
Actually, no, I think that's
tomorrow. Yeah, you're right.
Tomorrow
Hold on.
these guys get a face-off again, and I think you're right to highlight, we talk about this a lot with, the SCC teams coming up in here, but I think it's equally important with these SPL teams of not having to show too much of your hand. Teams already knew how good how Sam for Soccer was on this Mercury. Everyone knows how good PBM is on Yamoja and Sylvanas. Everybody knows Panda Cats Gods. Nothing out here really is out of the ordinary for the Jade Dragons. It just felt like another day of the week for these guys.
Yeah, I think this is
here after our first set of the day. The Jade Dragons move on after a 3 over Sleekness, and the next match up is going to be the Olympus Bolts up against the Valhalla Valkyries. And you heard it from Sam, probably expectations across the board here are with the Olympus Bolts to get their win. They move on, and potentially then now throwing the Valhalla Valkyries down towards Sleekness, but I always say this, Gore, it is Smite. You never know what's going to happen until something actually happens on the battleground itself. But the Jade Dragons do move on here. Sleekness now down on the lower half of the bracket in that bronze match to play. They'll play the loser of this next game between the Olympus Bolts and Valhalla Valkyries, and then that team will have one final chance after that to still make it to the Smite World Championships, because we do take 2 teams out of every group.
Yep.
So, winner of tomorrow, the 2 matches tomorrow, means that they get the winner of that means they guarantee go to SWC.